Happy Monday. This is Michelle, and I am your host for Living Magically. And this week, October 14th, we have a super blood full moon. This means we have a very intense situation and we have just had a lot of tension. So the emotions might be really high right now. So let's talk about it. First off, there is this full moon, and this full moon happens on the morning of the 17th. So we're already in that energy right now. The 3 days before a super moon is, you're going to start seeing the moon bigger and bigger in the sky. So first of all, it's a super moon. It's the closest to the earth that it can be. So we have it appearing like it's larger in the sky. Second, that means because it is a supermoon, you're going to get more tides and energy where the moon is directing the water. So we feel this intensity in the flow, and we feel that flow in our bodies. So if you're feeling fatigue or extra energy, and it could go either way for you, where you're either really, really tired or really, really hyper, or maybe you swing from one to another because it is Libra season and our whole goal right now is to find balance. And so the sun is in Libra, and by the time we get to the full moon, the moon will be in a very intense sign, which is Aries, the fire sign. It's the first sign of the zodiac. So we see that that impulsiveness of the first sign, which is kind of like the child of the zodiac. So be careful with impulses and be careful with your emotions, because the full moon creates a lot of emotion and intensity. And then you have the infant of the zodiac and a fire sign to boot. You know, Aries rules, you know, that deeper place in our emotional hearts and in our bodies. So we want to throw a little temper tantrum. But the key here is to be kind. Be kind to yourself. And if you do feel that fatigue this week, take some rest, because we're coming off of a lot of fatigue. We've been very heightened. And if you happen to be in anywhere that's had hurricanes, there is something about the actual fatigue from the hurricanes. There's an intensity and a pressure where the pressurization from the hurricanes can cause dizziness and nausea and sleep problems. So if you're coming off of that, be really, really gentle. There might be a little bit of a hangover here. Add that all up to a supermoon and a full moon to boot, there's where the fatigue could be happening. However, it could be intense where you're feeling a lot of pressure to get going on something, starting something, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it's new beginnings and moving forward. And because these eclipses were all bringing us to new beginnings, we want to get started. So you might have like this conflict going on, which is a very Libra theme too, of I'm tired, but I really want to do something. Or, you know, I've got a lot to do, but I don't have the energy. Or you could have the energy and maybe not have all the resources, and you might have to be finding everything you need to get started. So there's sort of like this pressure to get going and maybe a slight delay. So get all your things in order. If all you can do is get your supplies together, or make a phone call, or put it on a calendar for next month, maybe that's what's being called for. So you add the fact that it's also this blood moon. So that means we are now starting the Samhain season, or the Halloween season, where once this full moon peaks on Wednesday, we will start this dissemination into true Samhain. And Samhain is this idea of the beginning of winter in Celtic lands, the beginning of the darker nights. And so we've passed the equinox period and we're now moving into Samhain, the halfway point between the fall equinox and the Yule season, or the midwinter's night, Yule. So it's halfway. And with this becomes this veil thinning, and the blood moon really starts that. It's the official beginning of the Samhain season is the blood moon. So we're seeing our ancestors starting to maybe reach us. We're going to see lucid dreaming as we move into Scorpio season next week. We're still in that last bit of Libra, so we're looking for balance here. The night and the day and the night, the inward and the outward, our energy of fatigue and excitement, the beginning and the end. So there is a duality that happens in Libra season, but the idea is that we're looking for balance. We're looking for ourselves to sleep if you need to sleep, or go do something if you have extra energy. I do want to say, hydrate, take care of yourself, take care of your body. This is not going to stop. Someone asked me today, you keep saying everything's intense. Well, I have bad news. If you don't like intensity, you are going to have to find a new way to kind of deal with that, because if it truth be known, the astrology for the next 2 years is pretty intense. We are in a period of time that is literally transformation for group consciousness. Until the 17th of November, we have the last bit of Pluto in Capricorn for the rest of our lifetime. It takes over 200 years to come back around. And so this is that last and final stages. And so what are you looking at between now and November 17th for completion? What is it that is no longer serving you in your identity? What is it that is becoming your identity in the new age of Aquarius as you're co-creating new Earth? This is that time. It's powerful and it's potent. And you may have seen me say this before, but we do have something really special this year. When I look at the Celtic holidays, I would say that Samhain is a season. Samhain is a celebration of the last harvest. It means that all of the plants have been brought in and we're doing a review. It's a Thanksgiving, but that really is more equinox energy, but it's more of a review of what do we have and what are we bringing into the new year of planting seeds. And for me, there's really 3 different big moments within that season. We have what we call American Halloween, and that is always celebrated on the 31st, 30th being All Hallows Eve, the 31st being Halloween, and November 1st being All Souls Day. That's the American tradition that we've also picked up some of that Mexican tradition of All Souls Day. That's sort of how we celebrate it as a universal collective in America at this time. But there is also the season of the witch, as we would call it, or the season where we start at the full blood moon to the darkest part of the moon, with the dark moon right before the next new moon at this time, somewhere between the equinox and the winter solstice, being what we would consider the dark moon Samhain. And it happens to fall for this year at the same time. So we're not going to have this juxtaposition of a moon or lunar Samhain different than the calendar year Samhain. So I would say there's the celebration that the Americans pick, which is calendared, and then there's the moon calendar, our lunar calendar. And so this time we have true dark moon on the 31st of this year on the 31st of October. So we're going to be celebrating in a really powerful way this dark moon Samhain, which is the release, the letting go of the old. And we consider this a new year for the witch's new year. And with that, we let go. And then on the first day, we start anew with our calendar, our 1 year calendar, starting on that next day. So really more November 1st will be the new moon at this season. And what's interesting about this is that means the veil will be thinnest on actual Halloween night. And so that means that there's the longest night of this period and there will be no moon to be seen. So do your trick-or-treating a little early because there will be no light that evening. So if you are going out, know that it will be a really dark period of time that week. Every evening will be really dark at night. And that is where we can connect with our ancestors. And I ask to only connect with my benevolent ancestors, and that any spirits that are working with me and through me are only on my highest timeline. So you might want to use that trick if you're working with anyone. It's a great time, though, to do forgiveness work with your ancestors if there's something you need to forgive them for. And it's also, more importantly, a great time to pull forward their gifts. If you happen to know any of them had a special gift, like my grandfather was a whiz at the stock market, so I can call forward that I would have his financial skills. My grandmother on the other side was incredible Eastern Star and very spiritual, so I can pull forward that from her. My other grandmother, she had mad skills in relating to people and being loved, and that comes true through my mother as well. So it's a time for taking their gifts in and for celebrating them. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer. So what would I do for this full moon? This is a good time right up until Wednesday night for invoking something, anything that's new beginnings, getting started with something. It's also a perfect time for letting go. Old habits, old experiences. It's a perfect night, Wednesday, Thursday, or any time until the 31st is a perfect time to do a burn ceremony where you are letting go and letting it all be released. So if you want to do any of that with me, Magical Michelle, we're actually creating a burn ceremony on the 26th here at my home in Orlando, Florida. We'll be doing work with the ancestors, and it's a 2-day experience on the Saturday and Sunday. We're calling it the Celtic Shaman Experience, and we'll be connecting with each of the elements, as well as I'll be doing a channeling and we'll be doing a burn, and that'll be all on Saturday. And then if you're interested, on Sunday, we'll be making brooms and doing some work for the coming year with our ancestors on Sunday. So this is a perfect experience if you want to go deeper into Celtic shamanism, into the world of modern witchcraft and practical magic. We'll have crafts and arts and fun things and good food. I'm so excited about it. And so that's coming up. We also, right before that, on the Thursday beforehand, Patrick and I have rescheduled our oil temple that was supposed to be on 10/10. We've rescheduled it to the 24th, and we've re-themed it to be the theme of Samhain and working with those energies, since obviously we were not going to host an event when we had the temple originally scheduled. So those two things are happening. And third, and not the least, on 11/11, one of my dear friends who I've traveled with to Egypt and know very well is bringing in a ceremony called an arrow break ceremony. So the idea is that we will be gathering together on 11/11 to break the weapons that we use against ourselves. So if you're ready to break some old habits, those things are all going to be offered in person in Orlando, Florida, or somewhere in the nearby area. So those things are available right now. If you are just looking to work with me one-on-one, I have one Living Magically coaching package that is left for the end of this year for the next 90 days. So that will take us through the end of 2024 and into 2025. So if you're ready to make that major transformation and you want to work with me, now is the time. So those are all things that you can be doing right here, right now. But in the meantime, if you're doing some work magically, this is a great week for candle magic. This is a great week for spiritual bathing, where you're taking a deep cleansing bath and letting go. It's a great week for doing a burn, where you're letting go of something and calling something in. It's a great week for putting out your crystals and your moon water. This will be a perfect moon to be putting out moon water and starting to charge your magical tools. You can do that either Wednesday night or Thursday night. Either of those nights will be great peak nights for that. So a lot to be done, and stay tuned because it is official. We will be doing a Celtic shamanism program for the year of 2025. And yes, your dreams, those of you who asked for which school is happening too. So lots of things coming up, because this is my new year at the beginning of November. And I really feel this season of the witch more than ever before. How about you? Are you feeling the season of the witch? I'd love to have you comment. Tell me how you're doing. I do want to know. And please like, subscribe, and share this however that feels good for you. That will keep us getting what we need to keep bringing you these live videos every week. If you want to see them live, you can see them on Facebook at the Facebook group Soul Circle. And of course, we post them on Tuesday. We post them on YouTube and get them out into the podcast. But if you want the information the fastest, please subscribe to our Facebook group, because you'll actually be able to see them live in real time on Monday evenings. In the meantime, this is a big week. Be nice to people. That's the important part. Be nice to yourself and be nice to others, because compassion will go a very, very long way. We're all feeling intensity. The solar storms and peaks are bringing a lot of intense emotion, as is the astrology. We've got Venus moving into a new sign this week. At the later part of the week, we'll have Venus in Libra, which actually is a really good thing. Once we get through this full moon in Aries and we get through our little temperament energy, we will follow that with, by the end of the week, we will follow it with Venus in Libra, which it loves to be, because it is ruled by Venus. Libra is ruled by Venus. So having it in its own sign means that by the weekend, we will feel more kind, more sweet, more romantic. And if this is something you're looking to do, is plan some romance, this is the weekend to do that, kids. And in the meantime, a pretty fabulous week to do magic. So magic and miracles are available, but you have to just make sure that you believe it is possible. So when you're doing whatever candle or whatever affirmation or whatever magic you're doing, check to see if what you're manifesting is possible and possible for you. And if you don't think that you're really anchored in it, then release first. Do release work to let go of your fear or your worry or your concern, and then do your manifesting and affirm it as you already have it. And that's how it comes through, as a frequency and a vibration of really gratitude, right? So when you're in the attitude of gratitude, thank you, thank you, thank you, it's already mine, then it becomes inevitable. And then we just have to have that last thing, which is patience. And the definition of patience is joy in the waiting. So we don't lose our faith while we're waiting for our miracle to show up. Because my number one thing I see people do is right before their miracle, they lose faith, they change their mind, or they get all into a negative frequency, and it cancels out what they're manifesting. So you just affirm, reaffirm, keep believing, keep faithing, keep thanking, and know that it's already on its way and that you are worthy and you're deserving of it. And therefore it is already done. All right. I've spoke a lot, so I'm going to send you off with one last thought, which is this is a supermoon, a blood moon, and a powerful full moon in Aries. So get really connected this week to who you are and the frequency and vibration of who you really mean to be. Take back your magic and hold on to it and just taste it, love it, feel it, be grateful for it, because you are powerful and you are magic beyond belief. And enjoy your magical week.